Happy Saturday from a drizzly, dank, dour, cold, awful, beautiful Saturday night here in New York City. Thank you so much. And let me also start off by saying right off the bat, and I don't say this enough, and I should be horsewhipped for saying it. To you wonderful people who financially support, who give of your cash, your soldi, your pecunia, through super chats and all of your, just all of your hard-earned money, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for this. Thank you. It's something that is so gratifying, and to think, to have people following, that's wonderful. But let me just say this because I don't say it enough. Thank you. It is so appreciated. If I had my druthers, do you know what druthers are? Anybody know what they are? It's from the truncation of the word I'd rather, like druther. Don't ask me why it's druther, not my druthers. But anyway, if I had my druthers, the only thing I would ever do would be constantly teaching, and in a weird and strange way. I know this sounds odd, but I feel and I want to be teaching a framework, teaching your perspective, teaching you on how to look at something, and also what many people are not looking at. It's my version, and we may, for the most part, we agree. You might not agree with some of the emphasis. Look at this, Brad Rung. No, thank you for giving us 3 hours of your time. Well, thank you for that. And also, by the way, I got a great video on this fellow, John Alight, who wants to run for the English Town Board of whatever in New Jersey. And I think it's fantastic. But anyway, thank you for this. Because I see things, I think, in a way that other people don't. And I've always felt like that. I've always felt completely and totally away from the way other people think. I am not a Republican. I'm not a conservative. I'm not a Democrat or a liberal. There is no name for what I believe. It is a case by case. Look at it. What do I think? Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? That's what I want to talk about. That's the bottom line. Period. End of discussion. So thank you for that. First, we're going to be talking about this. Oh, Brad Rung again. Brad Rung says, 1972, The Godfather, Francis Ford Coppola's film, based on Mario Puzo and starring Marlon Brando, premiered in New York. Wow, I remember that. It changed my life. And others too. Why that was such an important movie. Very, very important. It's funny how that works in with John E. Light. You do realize, well, we'll talk about that in a moment, because that was an important period. But I want to talk about the DOJ. I want to talk about Laura Loomer, who's doing it. Laura Loomer is doing some of the best work of anybody out there. There is so much going on, so much fascinating work about exposing what needs to be done. Is the Department of Justice doing enough? Do you feel satisfied with that? Why are they going after Teslas? And today, Mrs. L and I were playing I Spy. We played how many Teslas? So help me God. We were driving through Jersey and picking up our comestibles and that. And lo and behold, there were more and more libs driving Teslas. So I don't get where this Nazi thing came from. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about a little bit about Bill Burr and these other people. But before we begin, my friend, let me remind you of this important and critically necessary information. If you're watching this, consider yourself warned. Food prices are about to explode, and the time to prepare is now. Listen, go to preparewithlionel.com. Preparewithlionel.com and secure your 4-week emergency food supply now while supplies last. With new tariffs, listen to me, with new tariffs slamming the global market and inflation spiraling, your grocery bill is about to skyrocket. When the crisis hits, shelves will be empty, and those who didn't prepare will be left desperate. History proves it. Every major economic collapse, every supply chain disruption, the first thing to go is food. You do not want to be waiting in government lines, hoping there's enough left for you and your family. This 4-week emergency food kit delivers over 2,000 calories per day, ensuring you have the nutrients you need and your family needs to weather the storm. It's fortified for survival, packed in rugged, long-term storage containers, and can last up to 25 years. So when disaster strikes, you'll be ready. Order today, and you'll get 4 free 72-hour food kits. That's 12 extra days of meals at no cost. The regular price is $346.80, but right now, you get it for just $247. Don't wait until it's too late. Go to preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com, and lock in your emergency food supply before the real panic begins. All right, my friends, let me start by a couple of things. Let me just say something very quickly regarding what Brad Rung said and how important The Godfather was and how critical it was and why it was important and why people should keep in mind this. Prior to The Godfather, prior to that particular film, so to speak, there was a gangsters and criminals were always seen from kind of like the street level, if that makes any sense, kind of from the street level. These were people who were sort of, the guys on the corner, the ones who were, not, how do I say this? It wasn't from the higher echelons. Nobody thought about the higher echelons. Nobody ever thought about that. Godfather was the first time that they looked at it from the notion of the Godfather down in the immediate family. And that is an incredible story. And what happened was immediately afterwards, it propelled, dare I say, the popularity of gangsters like you could not believe. All of a sudden, it changed. Everything changed. Restaurants used to kind of say, bring your boys around, have a seat, come on in, as it were. It was a fascinating change. It changed the way people dressed, the way people acted. It was incredible. Brad Rung says 2012, convicted former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich entered a federal prison in Colorado. The Democrat began serving a 14-year sentence for corruption in 2012. That's interesting. Ricardo says the peeps feed off two things, boogeymen and the savior. Interesting. True, I guess. You don't need me to explain The Godfather, but there's this one book you should get called The Godfather Companion, and I have it. It may be out of print. It is the what am I trying to say? The trivia book, because it looks at the book, the screenplay, and the movie, and they don't all coincide. Sometimes this gets cut and that gets cut. The days of how old Vito was and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, it was the most important movie. Godfather 2, absolutely hard to say who's better, completely different. One, of course. Marlon Brando, they did not want him. Charlie Bluthorn, this from Gulf and Western right there, which is now Trump International, right there at Columbus Circle. You can see. This is where they said, under no circumstances is Marlon Brando going to appear. Under no, he was horrible. He was at the end of his trajectory. Then they said, under no circumstances is Al Pacino going to be. They wanted Robert Redford or whatever. I think they wanted Kirk Douglas or Anthony Quinn, something ridiculous. And Coppola said, no, you're not going to do this. You're not going to do this. They said, he's too short. This isn't Michael. So what they did was they decided to show the scene with Alatari Solozzo and Sterling Hayden, McCluskey. They showed that scene. They rushed it to the big shots. After that, they said, go for it. One of the best scenes ever. Alatari died very young, spoke Sicilian. Sterling Hayden, crazy in his life. He was OSS or something. Anyway, I don't want to spend a lot of time with that, but you brought it up, and I've watched that movie so many times, the extended cuts, and it was, in my generation, it was our Citizen Kane. It was our movie. It was a movie I went to see with my dad, and we said, like, wow, this was great. This was something. I mean, they didn't cuss. I think maybe Godfather 3, which we do not recognize. But in any event, thank you for this. I'm also going through so much of this Gene Hackman stuff. By the way, Gene Hackman's going to have a very interesting case with a simultaneous death clause. Who died first? There's that 90-day clause. Watch the daughters. Watch what they do, and don't forget to, or don't be surprised if they contest it and claim that he was shingad and out of his mind, when in fact he wasn't. He signed his will 20 years before. So anyway, don't worry about that. That's going to be very, very interesting indeed. Now, let's talk about something. We have in this world, in this country, some of the best, real, absolute monster journalists of our time. And Laura Loomer, she always they catch grief. She does this. She said, listen, it's so funny. You don't have to want to marry people. You don't have to love people. But what she's doing, exposing this business with, you saw this, I hope, with what the hell is his name? Hunter Biden, and how he is on some ultra luxurious trip, and he has Secret Service. How in the name of God is this even going on? 54, 55 days, right? It's hard for me to tell. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to say it. This isn't going fast enough for me. Period. This isn't fast enough for me. Do you hear this? I don't know what's going on. And I don't, I'm trying to be nice. Anybody with me? How about this? FDA cracks down on popular gay party drug, poppers. That's not what I want him to. I don't care about gay party drugs and poppers. How about this? You see this, honey? Man seen casually eating pieces of a bloody New York City rat corpse in stomach churning video. New York Post, front page. Did you see that one? It's beautiful. I mean, to tell you something. It's something. Just wanted to give you that one. So anyway, I'm all over the place. Forgive me because my mind is on fire. Here we go. Hunter Biden fled to ultra luxurious vacation with Secret Service protection, avoiding grueling deposition. How does this work? So you said it was Laura who did this?
I saw it earlier today. Laura Loomer said she had sources there.
Oh.
That's what I read.
The South African trip was with Secret Service. Now, here is what I want you to understand, and maybe you can help me with this. And I'm trying not to be a deek, but I'm trying to explain this. Let me ask you something. Who feels satisfied with how everything is going now with the president? Anybody? I love the man. Anybody feel satisfied? Is this fast enough? 54, 55 days into this? Are you feeling this? Do you think Pamela Joe Bondi is really getting this? Did you see her news conference? It was kind of like smiley and bubbly. It's like, wait a minute, hold it. I'm not feeling good about this. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know. I want killers. Kash Patel, what's he doing? What's going on? Bobby Kennedy's talking about die. I don't care about this. I don't care about this. What is going on? Did you see Marco Rubio threaten, give orders to Putin? He's the Secretary of State. That's not what the Secretary of State does. Years ago, the Secretary of State was in charge of passports and things. Brad Rung says, Dee Snider, here we go, is 70 years old. Musician Sly Stone, 82. Boy, he's gone. Filmmaker David Cronenberg, 82. And actor Judd Hirsch, 90. Bret Michaels, 62. Thank you, Brad. See that? It gives us perspective. Back to what's going on. Who's satisfied with this? Anybody? Tell me. Am I not being fair? Who's anybody? Why is Trump authorizing strikes on Yemen? I don't understand this. Let me explain to you. I don't get into Israel. I don't get into Ukraine with 99% of the people because they have no freaking idea. Do you know what happens if Yemen says, okay, we're going to shut down the Gateway of Tears? Have you seen this? Go to this. By the way, Milquetoast, Milquetoast, just to let you know. This piece, this one little phrase, do you see? Do me a favor, either now or when we're done, my dear friends. Make sure you go and look at a map. Make sure you have preferably a globe. You can't see it on my Dollar Tree globe, but you must see this one place. Let me explain this. It's called the Gate of Tears. This is in Yemen. Bab al-Mandab Strait. Everybody, Bab al-Mandab. Bab is a strait. It's called the Gate of Grief or the Gate of Tears. Wouldn't that be a great development? Where do you live? The Gate of Tears. It's a strait between Yemen, or as Candace Owens would say, strait. It's a strait between Yemen on the Arabian Peninsula and Djibouti and Eritrea. Sheikh Djibouti, okay? In the Horn of Africa. It connects the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden and by extension to the Indian Ocean. It is so critical. If the Houthis say, all right, we'll show you what to do, you're done. Ladies and gentlemen, 44 BC, on the Isles of March, the Ides of March, yes, Julius Caesar was assassinated by Roman senators Brutus and Cassius, who feared him working to establish a monarchy. Ah, beware the Ides of March. Caesar, Caesar, Ave, or Awe, if you speak classical Latin. Thank you for that, Brad. Brad always brings us back to this. Let me go back. Why we had a guy in high school, great guy, J.J. Fernandez. Loved him. He was our biology teacher. Used to yell. He would yell, and the amoeba. I was like, what's going on? Oh, I hurt myself. And one time, he had this way of looking. And he walked up to us, and he said something to the effect of, why do you F with the man? Basically saying, why are you antagonizing this person? What are you trying to accomplish here? Tell me, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why are you going after the Houthis in Yemen, Mr. President? Why are you doing this? Nobody, let me see if nobody gives a shit about this. Nobody. They don't know who they are. And please, sir, I know you're smart enough. Iran is not sponsoring everything. Quit saying that. It's this. Why don't you let Bibi just write your script for you? I am so tired of this nonsense about, well, it's Iran. We're going to have to somehow, believe it or not, figure out how to get along with these people. Why do you want to do this? Iran doesn't bother us. Let me see if I can say this. I don't like them. I don't care who's with me on this. I don't like them. I don't want them. They don't bother us. Do you want to get into that hornet's nest? What happens? And let me also tell you something, my friends. If Bibi gets some crazy idea, he wants to lob shells, our stuff, into Tehran, and Iran turns around to Putin and says, would you help us out? You know he's going to help him out. And then it's over with. And then we got sucked into a war with Putin because of Iran and Israel. You ready for that? Tell me if you want to do that. Tell me. Do you know who the Houthis are? Why do you F with these people? Why? They are rabid about Palestine. They're not kidding around. We don't understand. Americans don't give a shit about anything. They do. And if they decide to shut that off, and if Iran says, we're going to get the Strait of Hormuz too, that's it. It's done. Why are we doing this? I don't understand this. We have enough problem. The Strait of Hormuz, have you seen that one between Iran and Saudi Arabia? Oh my God. You have to look at the geography. If they decide when these tankers come down and then they make a hard left and then make a hard right, and they only have this little area to go through where it's deep enough for the water, whatever the hell it is. And if they decide to scuttle a ship, it's over with. It's done. It's done. Why are we doing this? Don't tell me oil. We're not gonna take over. Why are we going to people like this all the time? How in the name of God, please, Mr. How is Marco Rubio telling Putin, you better do this? Putin says, excuse me, I'm winning this. I'm letting people go. These are my prisoners. I didn't want this. I told you. And it's like, what is he? Rubio wants to be like a tough guy or something. I don't get it. Dear God, don't let him talk. We need diplomacy. Have you heard Lavrov? Oh my, I'm wasting my time. I know you understand. They don't understand this. What are we doing? I don't understand this. We don't want this. This is politically stupid. $20 a gallon. You think that's impossible? You know what they do if they say, I think it's time we teach them a lesson. I don't think they understand what's going on. You almost went crazy. Cut Up Chatter, by the by, says that's after Julius made them accompany him to a singing contest by boat. He sang the whole way. He hated them, had to keep an eye on his Congress. Who knew, my friends? Who knew? Next, I don't even know why you don't care about this, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you. It's not something that we've understood. We don't know this. We don't look at geography and things like that. It's just not something that we care about. And I understand it's not that you're a bad person. It's that you really, honest to God, you're asking yourself, what is going on here? What is the purpose of this? Why are these people doing this? Now, what I also don't get, maybe I don't understand this. Would somebody please tell me why, in the name of God, Why are they attacking Teslas? Or Teslas, as I call it. Why? Why? This is Ellen and I were, like I said, we're driving, we're doing I Spy. She's counting more Teslas than you can shake a stick at. They're all over the place. All over the place. They're putting Nazi swastikas. There's an owner of a Tesla here in New York City. They got him on film. He's a Jew, and somebody's scratching a swastika. What is going on here? Let me explain something. These people have to be crushed. Do you understand what I'm saying? They have to be crushed. I'm not kidding around here. I am not kidding around. I want you to understand that. Who's with me on this? Crush these people. We're not doing anything. Bobby Kennedy, I thought Bobby Kennedy would come in like he's talking bullshit about. I don't even know what he's talking about. Well, the gay poppers. What? Do you see Dr. Oz? How about without the dye job? It's like, whoa, look at this. This is an incredible story. What is happening here? What is happening? Isn't this amazing? Do you not find it critical? I've got to understand. What are we doing here? All this swastika talk. Does anybody know really about Hitler from Bill Burr? And now they're scratching. I don't understand this. They were talking before, changing the subject, about ISIS leaders. Do you think Americans know about ISIS leaders? Big Dick says, 5,000 likes from the Lionel Nation. Absolutely, we need this. Deportations in the UK, finally doing this. Now, my question to you is, let's go back to this. I'm going to bring you in, and you're sitting right in front of the president. What would you tell the president? What would you tell him right now? 50 whatever days since we've been involved in this, right? What would you do? 54 days. What would you tell the president? What would you tell him? What would you say? Are you happy with this? Act like an adult. What does that mean? You have to find the truth. What does that mean? Nothing. Pete would say nothing. What would you tell him? I'm serious. What would you tell him? My observation is Trump needs, like a general manager, Vance would probably be best. Vance is at least saying some things. What is being done? How in the name of God does Hunter Biden, with all of that money squirreled away from the money they stole, how does he have Secret Service protection? What are we doing? So again, what do you tell the president? You're going to sit down. What do you do? What? I can't believe it. Come on, I want to hear something. Tell me something. I'm turning it over to you. What would you tell him? Ron said, we need to see arrests. Who? What are you talking about? Be specific. Who needs to be arrested? What do you do? Who? Does anybody know anything? Anybody? Just curious. Be an isolationist. Okay. Stop the tariffs. Tariffs are the things that, honest to God, are getting people's attention. I hate to say it, but deals have been made. Be pacific. Look, let's face it. Do you know what's going on here? Do you know? I'm asking you a question. I'm not going to budge until we say something. This is my chance to talk to you. What do you think needs to be done? What is it? What? Let's wait and see if it... We're waiting. Do you think that what Pamela Joe Bondi is doing is great? Do you like Kash Patel? They should have had this thing ready. Here's my list. Boom, 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 boom. I want an arrest every week. Every week I want one arrest. Fauci, Hillary Clinton, Les Wexner, something involving Do something. They want something about Epstein. Would you give them something for Epstein? Arrest Dershowitz. I don't care. Do something. Arrest somebody. Show people. Have a private skiff. Have the list. Produce the list. Go online and you can have a special code. What do you need to do? Teddy says, anything but don't touch Social Security and Medicare. He's never going to do that. That's the third rail. What's the name he's talking about is basically, this is a different story. What he's talking about is the idea of waste and the like. You've got to figure out, I want teams to figure, how do we go after Fauci? You've got to go after Fauci. That can be done. I've told you this. There's ways to go after Biden. What are we waiting for? This is bullshit. We're not doing anything. We're wasting our time. Already they're getting restless. They say, hey, this is terrific. You have got to see somebody. You've got to make sure you pick up the phone and you call somebody, either in New York, and you say either to the state attorney general or somebody here in, forget Alvin Bragg. If you don't prosecute him, I'm going to prosecute. And I will invoke federal jurisdiction. I will claim under some particular statute that because you were talking about a car that common carriers, whatever, I will come up with something. Are you going to do it? And I mean, Horace, this guy. Let him have it. Where are the people? This is serious. To have somebody say, what are you doing? We're going to teach you. We're going to J6 your ass. Watch what we do to you. You're going to wonder, what did I do? The same way J6, the same way some guy who walked in and is doing 3, 4, 10, 20 years. You're going to find that out. That's what we need to do. Big Dicky says, authorize Elon to deputize the American civilian to speak out in cases of fraud, waste, advise, deception. Well, you don't need to do that. What we need to do is a little something different. Quitom legislation. Quitom legislation. Have you ever heard about this? Quitom is called whistleblower. Quitom legislation is what needs to be done. This is Quitom means, or Quitom or Qui. It means in the name of the king. The False Claims Act Quitom provision permits individuals with evidence of fraud against the government to file a lawsuit against the fraudster on behalf of the government, and they end up getting a fortune. They get 10% or whatever it is. So let's assume under Key or Quitom, you work at the Pentagon and you are apprised of, you are aware of, you know that there is massive fraud going on. And what you do is you decide that you're going to bring something to their attention. You're going to say, I want the country to know about this. And here it is. And you say, guess what? This is $20 billion. I get 10% of that. I get 10% of whatever of what I save. That's how you do it, Dick. That's how you do it. But we are sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, I don't think anybody's serious about this. I don't think anybody has been. I would have been screaming at Pam Bondi. What did you do? What in the name of God did you do? You told him you would do what? Yeah, the legalese in teams. Something like that. Dickie, thank you. What did you do? You said there were going to be documents and tons of... Why did you do that? Why did you do this? So number one, we need to tell people, if you have information of fraud, call this number and you will get a portion of that which, if it's bona fide, if you can claim it, that which you have saved. This is the critical. We need something. Listen, I hope you're with me on this. Do not get complacent. And while I calm down, my friends, listen to this. Listen to me. Are you drowning in debt? You're not alone. New reports show the average person is buried under $8,674 in credit card debt, with total consumer debt soaring to a staggering $104,215, including mortgages, auto loans, student loans, and credit cards. It's a financial crisis, and without a real solution, many will keep spiraling deeper. That's why I want to introduce you to a powerful secret weapon that has helped so many regain control. They specialize in consolidating all your debts into one manageable monthly payment and even negotiate a settlement so that you can pay less than you actually owe. Think about this. They've already settled over $275 million in debt. Think about that. Helping people break free in an average of just 28 months. I've personally recommended their services to friends and clients who needed a way out, and now I'm bringing it straight to you, my loyal Lionel Nation family. So don't wait. Book a free consultation today, right now, at NoDebtWithLionel.com. That's NoDebtWithLionel.com. The link is right under the title here. It's time to take back control of your finances. Act now. Get out of debt and start living the life you deserve. I want heads to roll, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Now let me ask you this question, and this is the most important. Did you hear this, honey? In some state, they actually named Trump derangement syndrome. I'll show you. Trump derangement syndrome. They actually named it as an actual, real, true, legitimate form of something or other. Minnesota's Senate Republicans deserve a standing ovation for Senate file number 2589, finding a bill with the backbone to expose the insanity of Trump derangement syndrome. They're going to put it in the DSM-5. There is something about this fellow and these people that are not going away. And I love the fact that we're actually doing something about this. Because did you see when President Trump was talking the other day, somebody put a microphone or one of those fuzzy mics in front of his face to the extent that he had to kind of push back? Do you think that was a mistake? I don't believe so. So all I'm saying, my dear friends, very simply, is that this is, I want to see head roll. I'm sorry. I'm not patient. The stuff that's being done is ridiculous. Bobby Dowd, ladies and gentlemen. Bobby Dowd, thank you. Big Dick says, you rock, Uncle Lenny. Thank you tremendously. No, thank you. Going back to what we were saying before, right off the bat, The Godfather, what was, changing it just a tad, what was the movie? The first time you ever saw something that affected you. Not that you liked. Not that, it's my favorite. But something that affected you. Changed you. Something. I don't know if The Godfather changed me. I don't know if I ever, I'm not sure. I don't know if things like that, music changed me. That's an important thing. But what was the thing that made you, that changed you, that made you say, I understand? I'm really getting something, or something that you lost yourself in. Because I do not know if today, and I'm sorry to say this, that we have this. Do you remember when you were a kid, especially from our generation, did you have in your town a big theater with the big screen and the curtain and the sound of the mechanized and the beautiful work of art and like, oh my God, it was like, it's where air conditioning was. Did you ever go to a movie where they had an intermission? Let's go out and get popcorn. Remember that they had that music, and where you would go, they had an intermission. It was so long. And it was just this, you walk in and the smell and the sound. They even had ushers. It was an event. It was the most incredible event ever. It was something where you think, wow, and you thought, this is it. And there's something about being in the theater. There were some movies, I don't know why. I know this sounds crazy. I don't know if it changed my life, but I remember seeing The Dirty Dozen. I think we were like in Atlanta. We were on some trip or something. I couldn't believe it. The Dirty Dozen, one of the greatest movies ever. Can you imagine putting that ensemble together today? Can you imagine? Can you go through this? From Lee Marvin and Charles Bronson and Richard Jackal, Telly Savalas, Ernest Borgnine, Robert Ryan, John Cassavetes, Trini Lopez, Clint Walker. Oh my God. Cut Up Chatter says $2. Thank you, Cut Up. I have to tell you something. When I was the first movie that tore me up, did you remember crying in a movie? And I remember, Dumbo and all that, I kind of knew that, well, it's not really real. I mean, it was sad. But when I saw the Fighting Sullivans, oh my God. When the one brother was always late, and at the last scene, if I recall correctly, they were in heaven. The clouds, they go, come on. And he goes, hold up, guys. I lost it. It was just, oh my God. I thought this is just the Godfather was something else. Johnny Maz says, do you remember an intermission you could buy a souvenir book for about $1? Yes. And they had, remember when people had like ties and they wore uniforms and they had ushers and it was just, look, I don't want to be one of these people that says, it was always better. But God damn it, there were things that were better in my time. I remember, did you ever go to drive-ins? Drive-ins, every now and then we go to a drive-in, which was the spookiest thing I've ever seen. The 20th Century on Dale Mabry and, where the hell was it? Dale Mabry and, I've lost my sense of geography. They had bats that would just attack the screen. It's like, Jesus. And then one time in the middle, I went to go to the bathroom or buy something, and I walked, and I never had any. It's all dark. Obviously, there's no lights. There's no section this. I came back. I turned around, and there's all these cars with the lights off. I had to go to each car and look, and it was around here. Absolutely frightening. But there was something about that big speaker. You roll down your window and you put it on, and it was this metal, this awful one. God, if you get a bad one, you're done. But yet I kind of love it. It was exciting. Cut Up Chatter says, at Warner's Theater in Fresno, we had giant wine velvet curtains. There was a print they cast across them. Music in 15 minutes. Wow. Wasn't that fun, though? Seriously, wasn't that to go to a movie? I remember seeing Billy Jack. Loved it. It was one of those great, One Tin Soldier, the song that nobody understands. Howard Hessman. If you go back and look at Billy Jack, and all of the people in it, then you got Billy Jack meets the Harlem Globetrotters. I mean, they just lost. They just ran into the ground. But the very first one, when Bernard, shall we say, assaults Jean, or whatever her name is, it was his wife. And they said, don't tell Billy. Don't tell Billy Jack. He'll kill him. Please don't. And then Billy would go, tell him, because Billy Jack would say, okay, just a minute. And he would take his shoes off. He's walking around in these work boots all day with sweat socks. You know what I mean? He was special forces. But he couldn't fight you. I got to take my shoes off. Then he could hit you. I would think a boot would be far more effective. But there he was. He shows up. Remember, he showed up. Oh, the one could talk about, please, sir, Can we buy some ice cream? Well, here comes Bernard and this big lug, and he takes here, I can make you white. And they take flour. Why they have flour at an ice cream parlor? I have no idea. But anyway, they drop the flour on the kid. Here comes Billy Jack. And you see Billy Jack in the background. You're going, yes! And you wanted justice. You wanted justice. You want to go and kick that son of a bitch. Kill him! Kill him! And here comes Billy. And they said, wow. And then Billy goes through these speeches. He didn't just kick your ass. He gave you a speech, kind of like Joe Friday. And this little one right here, this special spirit, we call her Tutukwaka, which means, I don't know what that means. And he brushes, he goes, you okay? You okay? You get in your eye? No. And you know, it's like, don't go anywhere, but I'm taking my shoes off. Hang on a minute. And this big guy, he's like, he had an underbite, Bruce Springsteen caliber malocclusion. I mean, really bad. And he just kicked, of course, destroyed this poor man's ice cream parlor. But I loved it. And I loved revenge. And it was, I think I've seen that movie. It was so stupid. But I loved it. It was one of the best during my time ever. The Herod Experiment. Do you remember that one? It was complete, total frontal nudity. Bruno Kirby. I remember that. We walked in, he goes, what the hell is this? The Herod Experiment? This was serious stuff then. I remember the first time seeing nudity. It was the 10 Commandments. It was Eve. It's like, what is going on here? What is Jesus, God? And she was walking away, and they go, oh, I can't think of any movie as of late that has had any effect on me, even remotely. Maybe because I was young, maybe because I don't know what. But where I had to be there, I had to, opening night. There were these wonderful, wonderful, maybe Star Trek. Remember, did you ever watch Groove Tube in the 70s? And Groove Tube, Fried, was it Fried? Kentucky Fried Theater? Kentucky Fried Theater. I think our friend Richard Belzer, who was buddies with me before his sad demise, I think he was in that as well. But it was just a different time. Now I have absolutely, positively no. Oh, we have a place not too far from us in the hood where they serve you food. And I'm not really crazy about it because you can't really see, what it is. And you have this thing and they come and it kind of makes it cute. I don't remember when did you ever do the beer and suds, the ale houses? Now that was fun. Because when we would go, most of us, we drank irresponsibly. So we'd see a movie it didn't matter what the movie was. Didn't matter what it was. We loved it. About 9 pitchers into it, we thought, this is the greatest movie of all time. Alcohol really can affect, I think, and it was, I think they would do the whole pizza, and then I kind of lost it. Maybe, and I don't know if you're like this, but I'm at that point now where nothing really excites me. I don't want to go to the movies. I really, especially now when they're on Netflix an hour after they're at the theater. What's the point? What do I want to do this for? We went to the Paris Theater recently. We saw some kind of an interesting documentary. Do you ever go to talkbacks? Do you have those where you are? This is where either the actor or the director or somebody will come in after the show and give you a lecture and bore the shit out of you. But it's kind of, this is where the auteurs and the cinema freaks enjoy it in any event. There's a wonderful movie on now on Netflix, a documentary. What's it called? Chaos, right? About Manson? You know the book Chaos. I think Joe Rogan did it. It's absolutely terrific. And it's the book Chaos. It's written by yes, Charles Manson. Yes, it's adapted from the 2019 nonfiction book Chaos. Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s by Tom O'Neill. And then Pippenbring. And it basically shows you that they set Charlie up, that Bugliosi was basically a psychopath, and that everything you thought about Charlie is ridiculous. Watch that. It's excellent. Years later, when I would do talk radio and interview, I would always throw people off. A couple of times I would just spring something. I thought it would be kind of funny. One time I had this crazy idea and I said, I'm not going to mention the person's name, but they're pretty, and it turns out it was somebody who was a hero of mine. I felt terrible. And I said, so how's that liquid paper addiction, Walker? You were, I think, only person ever going to rehab for liquid paper. I think you call it huffing. I just made this up. Well, I hit a nerve. And the person said, that's not funny. I've been through rehab. And I thought, oh my God. I said, I'm just kidding. Kidding about that? What's funny about that? The whole thing died. The whole interview completely died. Okay, fine. I had a great time with, of all people, Bo Diddley. Bo Diddley, he didn't know who I was. And I said, so you're Sicilian? You're born Angelo Cacciatore. Is that your name? He said, what? I said, you're going to what? Walk away from that? Oh, that didn't happen? I've got it wrong? And he looked at me and he's wondering, what in the hell is this guy talking about? And then I kind of winked at him and we started laughing. So I kind of did that. Another one too I loved, Edward James Olmos. He was making, I think, was it The Natural? With, I don't know what it was. Loved the guy. I was giving him all kinds of Spanish dirty words and he loved it. Well, cut to the chase. Vincent Bugliosi, I was interviewing him. He wrote a book on impeaching President Bush. And I thought it would be funny. This is then, not this is before chaos and everything. I thought it'd be funny if I started off like this. And they gave me, where the mic's hot. And I leaned over, I said, Manson never killed anybody. Nobody. Name one person he killed. He was railroaded. I thought that would be funny. Because everybody knew, and I thought at the time, he killed these people. Bugliosi went crazy. Hitler didn't kill anybody either. I said, oh, you're going to compare him to Hitler? So I thought we were going to have some fun. Little did I know that years later, it would be suggested that Manson had absolutely nothing to do with anything. By the way, one more thing. Manson was the end of the 60s. Remember that. Manson was the end of the 60s. He killed everything. Woodstock was 69, July. Manson destroyed Haight-Ashbury. Cocaine was there. Drugs, hard drugs. It ruined everything. That was the end. And Terry Melcher. Are you familiar with the Manson thing? Watch this on Netflix. That's worthwhile. That's worth watching. In any event. All right, dear friends. I know you were moved by that Houthis thing. I know you love that Houthis. You could talk about that. Yemen is right up your alley. Cut Up Cheddar, thank you. Johnny Mazespaz, thank you. Bobby Dowd, everybody. Big Dickie Daniels, I thank you. Teddy, I bless you, Teddy. Cord with us, Teddy. That was Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. All right, my friends. Make sure you also go to Mrs. L's Lynn's Warriors. Also see my video, which I thought it was terrific, about John Alite. John Alite was this Gambino murderer and enforcer, and whether he cooperated or not, but he is was it East English Town or someplace? He became, English Town, he became a city councilman. I think it's terrific. And of course, you're giving him a hard time because, and I'm thinking to myself, what he is. I think he'd probably be better at it than, let's say, Nancy Pelosi? In any event, so watch that. Make sure you subscribe to Lionel Nation, which is very, very critical. I want to thank you for this. Thank you for your support. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Means the world to me. I mean that. Follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors. And don't forget our other channel, Lionel Legal. And until tomorrow, my friends, I say to you these following words. Don't ever forget this. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da, da.